Hello, everybody, and welcome to End to End, the podcast where we talk about all things pony and a few things not. Joining me today are my co-hosts, the lovely Lightning Rabbit.
Hello, I'm Lightning Rabbit. I am the Assistant Creative Director for Philly Games and one of the assistant hosts for Muffin Lovin Productions and the director of the Aeon Delta radio play series.
And the beautiful Cabralo95.
So how come he's lovely? I'm not beautiful. Wait, I'm beautiful. Wait, I don't know. Anyway, either way, hello. I am the co-founder of Muffin Lovin Productions and a host as well. I am the head writer for AR and Delta, the radio play series, as Lightning has mentioned, and a director as well. I do various voice acting, and I should really get a life, because I do a lot of writing for fan fictions as well now.
Brilliant.
That's great. And I am the dazzling Duhad.
You're dazzling?
I am
I'm
dazzling.
only beautiful, and then he's lovely. I mean, never mind. I'm just going to go sulk in this corner and shed pride, liquid pride.
Anyway, I'm the director of Duhad Presents, the fanfiction reading series, an occasional voice actor for some of Muffin Lovin Productions projects, and a failed fanfiction writer. So, gentlemen, as of the time of this recording, it's only been about a week, or significantly less than that, since the end of Season 3 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I'm assuming you both saw the ending?
Nope.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I did.
Always lying.
What did you guys think about it?
The finale itself for Season 3. I think actually...
One...
Well, I was just going to say, I think we could cover the episode first and then go over the finale, the overall season. Anyway. Go ahead, Lightning. You can go first. Because you're
you want me
lovely.
to go first?
Yeah, you're lovely, so you should go first.
Fine, okay. I thought the final episode was very good. I'm going to go a bit more into detail. I thought it summed up everything. Like, I mean, I know it was kind of obvious that this was going to happen. I think you could see it from, like, definitely the beginning of Season 3, if not earlier into the series, that she was going to turn into a princess. The only thing I would say, though, which is something we've discussed previously to this podcast, was the fact that this episode did look like it was going to be the end of the MLP, like, as a show, because it seemed to be wrapping it up almost too well.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I saw that and I agree, but then when Twilight said that last line, everything is going to be just fine. No! First off, you just said that line. Second off, when that line is said in a show, film, movie, or story, something bad happens. Thirdly, we have a Season 4, and then you just said that? Yeah. So, I suspect something downhill, because the writers like having a story where you have a lot of the ups and then downs. There hasn't been a down just yet, and too much in the finale at all. There was no down in the season finale, really. And so...
It really wasn't.
Yeah. And the writers like having those up and down moments. I mean, look at the season opener for Season 2. You had even the Grand Galloping Gala had a real down low, and Twilight screamed and everyone loved it. Or not, Fluttershy screamed and everyone loved it to death.
Yeah.
Because they would have killed her if they didn't love her. But so I really suspect, because Megan McCarthy had said that this is more of a 3-parter. We just have to wait a long time for the parts 2 and 3. So yeah. I suspect there to be a lot of a more down, low tone, like darkness coming up eventually. Because even looking at the finale for Season 2, the Cancel Our Wedding, that was a very dark episode. Regardless, everyone says that they're like watching this shit is dark.
Yeah, it was darker than most, I would say.
It certainly wasn't that. But I actually kind of agree with Lightning on this one in that the hyper upbeat finale with the everything's going to be fine, while it is obvious now that there's a Season 4 that it's essentially tempting fate, it could have, if it had ended at Season 3, really have been sort of and they all lived happily ever after finale, sort of tying it up, saying it's okay, it's done, but everyone's doing all right.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that. It did look like either they weren't planning to make anything after Season 3, or it's a way of, if Season 4, or if the show wasn't popular enough, they could stop it at Season 3 and it would still make sense. But it wouldn't be like stopping it mid everything.
Yeah, I was just gonna say though, like it's
Oh,
not a
here's why.
happy ending. The Cutie Mark Crusaders don't have their cutie marks.
Oh yeah, that still hasn't happened yet.
That is
Yeah.
not a happy ending.
That did not get resolved. Yeah, that
Yeah,
would.
in
I'd
fact,
be upset.
were they even mentioned at all? Like, I know they had the Babseed episode, but they didn't get much airtime this season.
Actually, they did get quite a bit. They had the Just for Sidekicks episode. They
Oh,
had
that's true.
One Bad Apple, of course. They had that other episode that I can't think of.
Scootaloo had her own episode in Sleepless.
Oh yes, that's true. Yeah,
Scootaloo had her own episode. And we're all finally.
they've
Fa-
actually gotten more
Yeah.
airtime than I expected, but they still haven't really, unlike in the first two seasons, they haven't really advanced their finding their.
Well, they
who
were going to go
are
skydiving,
thing. That's true. that
which
should have been it.
which makes
Spike
all
ruined
things
it for
better.
them.
They were so going to be skydivers, and then Spike went and ruined it.
Yes. Well, to be fair on that one, it could be seen as the writers essentially saying, okay, we've done they're trying to get their key marks, they haven't yet, they're trying, they're failing, they're trying this, they're trying that, they're failing this, they're failing that, and saying, you know what, let's try doing a different kind of story. Try moving away from that archetype, that story archetype a bit, and try and, give them a little bit more, depth to their adventures besides just what can we do to try and find ourselves.
Season 4,
Yeah.
The Cutie Mark Adventures.
Actually, that's a good point. What happened? Like, everyone is saying, oh, we really want them to find their cutie marks, and it's going to be a slightly strange thing because everyone doesn't want the show to end before they found their cutie marks, otherwise we'll never know. But also, at the point at which they find their cutie marks, surely that's saying that it's getting close to when the show's going to stop being produced, because unless they can find another story arc to go with, that is the main little story arc that goes with everything else. And
Yeah.
that
That is the main side story of this series. The Cutie Mark Crusaders are the main side story to the My Little Pony main 6 story going on.
Yeah.
And when they tie up that, it does kind of tie up one of the major themes that their characters have, which does sort of lead them in an odd position of what do we do with these characters, which I'm hoping is part of why they did some of these episodes that aren't as focused on that, essentially to say, look, yeah, they have this one dimension that we like to play with, but even if we tied that up, there are still stories involving these characters that we can do that don't actually tie into that, because there are a lot of stories that you can tell with children that you can't tell with more mature characters.
Yeah, look at the Sisterhood Social. That's a good example, actually,
Yeah.
because they're not going after their cutie marks and that. It's just bonding with family.
Yeah, no, exactly. There are good stories that can be told without having to rely on that, and I'm kind of hoping that some of the, let's focus less on that one element is a sign that they are going to be willing to do more with the characters after they've resolved that one major story arc.
Yeah, because the Cutie Mark Crusaders have a brilliant personality. The personalities of each of the individual CMC really work well together.
Yes.
That's why everyone loves them to death, and they're adorable.
That is fairly true.
We did sidetrack a little bit from the finale, though.
I do remember at one point we were talking about how we were not going to talk about the rest of the season now, because we were going to talk about the season finale, and I think we spent 2 minutes on the season finale and then went to the rest of the season.
Well, actually, no, we just went to the Cutie Mark Crusaders. But anyways, back to the finale. It was a musical, essentially. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, like every few minutes you had a little bit of this got serious. Now let's go sing about it. What?
Yeah, I would say it was very much like that. Sorry, if I can just make my point.
No, you can't.
It's fine. Okay, I won't. No, it was. I would say it was very much like some sort of Broadway musical, because, like, there were loads of songs in that episode. There were like 6 or something, and I will say, though, on a slight, like, kind of critiquey note, some of them worked better than others. Like, some of them, like Celestia's song and the Morning in Ponyville and Equestria, the reprise at the end, those worked really well. I liked those a lot, especially Celestia one, I have to say. But there were a few, I can't remember which one it was.
Was the Twilight singing Into the Window?
That one was all right, actually.
I'm saying Friend Indeed.
Friend Indeed.
Yeah, that covers the entire montage of them wrapping up the only conflict in the story.
Yeah, and that is exactly what I was thinking of, actually. I just couldn't remember the name of the song. That one is Friend Indeed, is kind of... I felt like they just thrown it in there because they needed another song because obviously the episode can only be so long. They needed a way of montaging it, and some of them were, or it seemed, they were just made for the sole purpose of having a montage to advance the episode quickly. I'm not saying they weren't bad songs, weren't good songs.
I really enjoyed a lot of the songs.
I just feel like it did seem like it was a song for the sake of having a song as opposed to a pivotal moment in the episode. I know it was solving the conflict, but the scene with Celestia and Twilight in that weird, like, space place.
In the Twilight Zone?
Really,
yes.
Yeah, in the Twilight Zone, we're going to call it now. That scene was really, like, pivotal, and it was, like, the climax of the whole episode sort of thing, where she finally gets her wings. And I felt that song meant a lot more in some cases than the Friend Indeed one, you know.
Yeah, certainly. And, again, this ties into a theory I've had about that Friend Indeed song.
Oh, my.
Yes, I have a theory. Yes, okay, I'm not going to start saying.
Oh,
anyway,
you should.
Point is, no, I'm sorry. The point is, though, that I have a strong suspicion that the reason why the main story line of this episode seemed to have been resolved in a montage, and the storyline that was kind of billed as, here's the main conflict. If obviously, all the big news leading up to this were the leaked pictures of the Twilight Alicorn, but the the plot synopsis was all about this mixed up cutie mark story. And I kind of get the feeling that either that was originally what the finale was going to be, or they originally had a two-parter in mind and then had to sort of mash up two episodes. And the Friend in Need song, it basically felt like them trying to montage a bunch of, plot threads that they couldn't finish in time at the last minute, and the fact that the song itself was essentially just one basic song, song lyric, song verse repeated 6 times, felt a bit like they were just going, "Hey Daniel, listen, we need you to come up with a 6-minute long song that can cover this big space of episode that we need filled up, and you got a week to do it. Just, come up with something, please."
And I would say, like, linking that back to another episode in season 3, the Raise This Barn song. Now, I didn't mind that song. I quite liked the Raise This Barn. I did quite like that song, but you could kind of tell that it was just to montage them building the barn because they didn't have enough time to... I mean, that's a good way of transitioning it. I won't, like...
Yeah.
It is. I felt like...
Well, to be fair on the barn one, and I'm sort of hopping back and forth here, but I'd say the barn works better than the montage. The Raises barn works better in the montage than this one, because the barn raising itself is the type of thing that kind of needs a montage.
Yeah, that's what I was going with.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they can't just say, okay, let's put a time card in there like SpongeBob does and say 2 hours later.
Yeah, here's 10 minutes of them just putting up the barn with no music or anything. It's just like from a distance them putting up the barn.
But also, the Racist Barn song, it sounds a bit like they just rushed it together a little bit because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. There's some lyrics for you right there. It kind of sounds like the guy who made the map song for Dora the Explorer, where they're like, "Hey Fred, how's that song come along?" The one from the map. Oh yeah, that it goes like this. I'm the map. I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map.
Okay, we can all agree that there wasn't much thought put into that one, possibly.
Possibly.
Probably not. Though, to be fair, with this one, it does the Raises Barn song does actually kind of follow a fairly traditional square dancing style.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I do like it.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3, 4 actually does work in that context.
Yeah, because it fits.
It's an 80s action movie montage.
It's an 80s, there you go. 80s action movie montage is like the one as Babseed. That's what that was. Babseed seemed more like a music video than a song in an episode.
Yeah, no. The point is that I was trying to make though was that the Racist Barn and the Babseed song, they both work well in the context of their episodes. Whereas I think the reason Magical Mystery Cure's song, Friend Indeed, kind of stands out a bit more, at least in my mind, it doesn't feel like it naturally flows from the episode. It feels more like it had to be put in there because they didn't have anything else to put in there that they could fit into the time frame.
Either way, I still like the song. And isn't the song called The True True Friend? Not a Friend Indeed?
It probably is. I'm
not entirely sure of the
Because I was a bit confused. I'm like, are they talking about a true, true friend? Because they had that in there. But it took me a second to realize that. But yeah, a true, true friend. I did like the song, though. Even though it kind of doesn't fit like you were saying, I do like that song. It adds stuff. Yeah.
Actually, I'd just quickly say, like, I know this is more of a wrapping up thing, but what would each of you say your favourite song / scene from that episode was?
Liquid Tears, baby. Liquid Pride. Not Liquid Tears. Liquid Pride.
Liquid Tears. They're already liquid.
Hey, Liquid Pride.
I'd actually probably say Pinky trying to run Sweet Apple Acres. She's not necessarily my favorite member of the main six, but my God, when she is on form, she's on form, and that was hysterical.
And she sang in a southern accent.
Yes.
It took me a second to notice that, but I'm like, it is a southern accent.
She is doing a southern accent. Yeah, I did like that scene, actually. That was a good scene. If I were to pick a scene, it would be a song / scene, which would be the Celestia and Twilight one. I don't know why I like it so much, but I think it's a very sort of like, it's supposed to be the emotive scene that's really like, you've worked up to this moment, and now here is this glorious thing which is happening, and I'm actually singing for the first time. That's how good it is.
But for me,
it was a good song as well.
It was a good song. I did like that. I was shocked though when Celestia started singing. I'm like, what?
I was like, she's not gonna wait. She is singing.
Celestia can
I was not expecting that.
Swag Lestia can sing. Anyway, that'd be amazing to see. Anyway,
this is a song now. We're great.
Yeah. Okay. For probably me though, my favorite scene would probably be Derpy winking. I don't know how many people caught that. Derpy actually winked to the audience.
Oh yes,
I didn't see that in the original, but I did see that afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. That's probably my favorite scene because, first off, they brought Derpy back. I know this is probably the end of her, so they did a good job. I dropped my thing. I was holding my hands. I keep grabbing stuff when I'm talking on Skype calls. Stop it, hands. I hate you. But I love that scene. I'll go over that in a bit because I want to go over my favorite song, which was probably what my cutie mark is telling me. It was beyond catchy for me. Plus, Gummy got thrown in the cage.
I did love that. Yeah, that was true.
That was good.
Yeah,
if I can...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I just love how it flowed and how it had that harmony going on with that. But you were going to say?
No, I was just going to agree, like, that was actually, like, next to Celestia's song, I can't remember what it's called exactly, but next to that one, the What My Cutie Mark Is Telling Me song, I found that incredibly catchy. I already, like, when the teaser came out of it, I already, like, within 5 minutes had it down on my MP3 player. Yes, I don't use an iPod. Can't afford it. But yeah, I did like that song, especially the harmony at the end. You know when Pinky and Applejack, you know when their faces appear in the little bubble things, and you know Rarity is like, I have to keep on trying, and then Pinkie Pie and Applejack does that harmony bit. I really like that bit. I've listened to that bit on replay so many times.
I really like Rainbow Dash starting off the song because she doesn't start off a lot of songs. Which actually, speaking of starting off songs, this episode started off with one. This is the only episode to start off with a song.
Hence the musical comparisons. It's very typical of musicals, very atypical of basically any other form of media.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to be the sole dissenting voice here on the Cutie Mark Is Telling Me song.
Yeah.
I like it musically speaking, but I kind of didn't like the implication of it. Essentially saying like, oh. One, they all just inherently seeing their cutie marks, they know exactly what that's supposed to imply, which felt a touch iffy, but I'm going to give them a bit of slack on that one. But then there's also sort of like, why? I thought the cutie marks were supposed to be a representation of what they're really good at, not this is your mandated, you must do this, sign.
Yeah.
I think with the cutie mark itself, it's more the implication, plus also. They're living as if they had the cutie marks their whole lives. Now, they have to live off of that base right there. So, at some point, they're having these mixed memories, in a sense, is what's going on with that. Because they're having the idea that they earned this cutie mark, and they need to do what it is that their talent is. Now, with Rainbow Dash, say, she has mixed memories with Fluttershy than when she got the cutie mark, I assume. This is all just my theory, not from the show at all, but I'm just saying it's something where you could say it's like a mixed memory thing where they think that they earn these and they're trying to live up to that moment when they earn their cutie marks.
I can kind of understand that. I would actually say, though, like, if they... Right, let me think about this a second. They earn their cutie they earn their cutie marks, and in this case, they've been swapped over. If, say, their minds haven't been changed, does that mean that actually, as a race, they're pretty flawed? Because if their cutie mark changes, they can't think outside that, and it automatically makes them do whatever the cutie mark says, even if they had one prior to that.
Not necessarily. It's a bit of a strange issue to go over as well.
Because if their memories weren't changed, then why did Twilight say the memory changing spell wouldn't work?
It's not she said it was their true selves. Now, their true selves is defined by their talent. They just didn't know their talent. It's very weird on how that whole thing worked out, actually, now I think about it. It's a weird controversy. Thinking how, like, wait, how?
Yeah, more explanation is kind of needed.
It's like giving a monkey a puzzle.
Yeah, again, this kind of ties in both with my thing about how this episode kind of feels a little bit like they tried cutting out a lot of 2 different episodes and then mashing what was left together. But it's also just sort of I like the song, musically speaking, but the lyrics triggered this whole craziness in my brain, and I stop enjoying the song and start thinking about the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like what happens to me when I listen to Sweet Home Alabama. I start listening to it, and I'm like, I like this music. And then I start listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm offending any fans of Skynyrd out there. But
I like Sweet Home Alabama's the song. That's about it.
Yeah, I've listened to that song.
He's British and he's listening to that song.
Everyone's listened to the song. Everyone loves that song, but I hear the lyrics and I start going, wait, hold on. You're attacking Neil Young and you're talking about... I'm not good at...
Yeah. Let's not go there.
I'm venturing into the realm of politics, which I shouldn't do.
That's a whole other can of worms that we're not going to open in this podcast.
Anyway, point is... I'm sorry. Point is, the song kind of has that problem for me. But if I actually were to point to a different moment in the episode that I kind of felt, for a very silly reason...
Rainbow Dash held captive by animals?
I thought that was hysterical. I thought that was...
They were going to eat her!
That's hysterical!
The owl had a spoon where you're going to gouge your eyes out!
God.
Why did you put that image in my head?
Why would you select that one thing of her having her eyes gouged out by an owl with a spoon?
Well, because clearly the...
Fan art opportunity, ladies and gentlemen.
Clearly the fairy with... Clearly the ferret with the knife is going to cut her hair.
Yeah, obviously. I would actually say, though, why were there, like, herbivores all with forks and things? They were just getting in on it for no real reason. They were just like, yeah, let's watch her burn.
Well, technically, owls are not herbivores, and neither are ferrets.
Oh, the owls weren't, but the rabbits were.
Rats eat anything. There's a bear gonna bite her head off as the owl gouged out her eyes.
I don't know. Maybe they were just sort of, wanting to fit in with the crowd. They're sort of like,
I
detect all my friends are going to eat her. Yeah.
It's like those
if we
riots.
Don't fit in, we'll be eaten as well.
Yeah, it's like those riots. You don't know what it's for, but you want in anyways.
I
didn't want in.
A clever social pressure message.
Clearly,
yes.
Don't join the crowd and eat Rainbow Dash.
Yes. Or social undertone.
Yeah.
No, but the thing that I saw that just I was so excited when I saw it, and then it turned out probably just an animation error. Dr. Hooves had a moon kitty mark when we first see him in the episode, shouting at Rarity.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, man, everyone's kitty marks is mixed up. There's all sorts of craziness going to happen up here.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No, it's just the main six.
Yeah. But that Dr. Hooves is actually a different pony entirely. It's just the same base model with a different cutie mark, essentially. And actually, he's a lighter shade of tan, which is impossible, but he's a lighter shade of brown, so he's not light tan.
Yeah, I was just thinking, actually, how many different models do you think they actually use in the show and they're just recolored?
Well...
Because, like, Applejack and Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy are basically the same, and so is Rarity and Pinkie Pie, actually, and Twilight.
Actually, it's funny you bring that up. They actually mentioned that in Season 1, they had a very limited number of base models, and they basically had to distinguish them with personality, color, and mains. And they actually introduced a lot more body types in season 2,
They do.
and they actually kind of bemoan the fact in interviews that the main 6 have less body distinctiveness than a lot of the background characters because they simply didn't have enough models when they started out, and they now have more.
That said, actually, at the end of the episode, those ones that... Actually, that's another song that I felt was kind of out of the blue and wasn't needed, was the Princess Twilight Coming. I thought that was a bit, like, out of nowhere. Like, oh, we're having another song and it's all you're saying is... I mean, I know, like, if you were having a coronation, you would genuinely have something like this. But it just seemed kind of strange to me.
I get what you're saying. It's kind of like God Save the Queen sort of thing is what I think it was a bit reminiscent of. But it's essentially the ceremonial song used for that. It wasn't really the main 6 singing. It was more of a background song in a sense because it wasn't a focal song. It was only 35 seconds, and it was just to up the mood and ante of the whole scene, essentially.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And that's kind of what I was thinking. I would say also that they did use like 6 ponies that were all basically Fluttershy models but recolored.
Yeah.
I was like, Fluttershy? You've cloned yourself and you've dyed yourself a different color.
I think someone was pointing out the fact that essentially what they did was they fused Fluttershy and Rarity to create the singers, which is
incredible
image. But yeah,
indeed.
No, actually, the thing is, you bring that up, and it actually makes me think. It is good. I can understand why they put the coronation song in there. It's a decent little number to kind of set the mood for the coronation, but especially with how rushed everything felt. 35 seconds may not seem like a lot out of context, but it actually is a sizable chunk of screen time that could have been used. Adding something somewhere else that might have helped. Like you could actually have in that time when they were doing that song several lines of dialogue to tie up some of the weirder elements of the episode,
like we did say,
that's true.
I was just gonna go ahead.
No, I was saying you go on.
Ooh, lovely. That's a good show, by the way. Anyway, what was going with this? Back to what Megan McCarthy said, though. This, according to her, she says it's more of a 3-parter, as she feels it is. We just have to wait for parts 2 and 3 later. They may do tying up with a bunch of stuff, which I really hope they will do, because it's going to be like that. So, I would like to see that. But shall we go on to Derpy or something else?
I was actually going to... Oh, sorry. I was just going to quickly say, like, leading off of Derpy, there was this whole thing of... There was a letter, and I'm not sure that it was confirmed or not, but it was something about them trying to find, like, cheaper ways of producing things and looking at other shows. And one of those... there's a spin-off, obviously, which is what we were going to talk about, which is Equestria Girls, and Littlest Pet Shop, which we can go into after that, if you want.
Okay. But anyways,
so
with the Derpy thing, you were saying?
Yeah, the Derpy thing, I was just saying, I think it was very nice that because there has been a large absence of her after the whole incident, we're going to refer to it as, and it was nice to see her at the end so many times in that one episode, but that does, to me, that kind of says that they might be signalling the end for her.
Yeah, especially with the winking.
That's depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like that they were able to actually sneak her in there. It's very nice. I'm surprised that Hasbro didn't get, all mad about that. But then again, she was in places where I never saw until I read one of the comments said, Derpy! I'm like, what? Where?
Where?
Hasbro isn't necessarily, raging out at the idea that, like, we have to get rid of all Derpy. It's more them kind of going, like, we don't want her in the foreground, super visible, so that it's, pissing people off.
Yeah.
Who get annoyed at that sort of thing. So,
which, how dare they?
I don't...
It's funny, I still don't fully understand all this time on. I still don't fully understand what the whole controversy was over, like, fully. I never understood what the problem was.
Basically, it was people got annoyed at the idea that Derpy, as a name, Derpy kind of relates to the idea of, you're retarded, you're mentally retarded.
Yeah.
And people kind of took that as being offensive to people with actual mental disabilities, and having that in a kid show, they
Has anyone seen Ed, Ed, and Eddie?
Yes, but like the thing is, it's the difference between here's a dumb character, and here's a dumb character we called Tardy.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not necessarily. Obviously, it isn't really necessarily that we meant it that way, and obviously, most people who do things with Derpy do not do it as sort of a "ha ha, she's stupid."
No, I mean, if you look at the episode as well, it's not.
In fact, actually, she was a lovable character.
Because if you look at the episode itself, where she was in and she actually talked and was called Derpy, she wasn't that retarded. She was clumsy. That was about it, and she was actually involved in helping stuff. So clearly, the ponies let her be involved, and they want her involved in some way.
I think the problem with that was also, though, it was she was a bit clumsy, which was intended, but they also messed up her voice because the voice actress didn't know what it was supposed to be. So it ended up coming off as kind of deliberately slow and halting, which was seen as being a step too far. And I've heard a number of people kind of post the incident, kind of saying if they'd gone with if they had the original voice, it probably wouldn't have been an issue. If she just sounded, a little ditzy and had been named Derpy, people wouldn't have really been that bothered. But the combination of making her named Derpy and having, this very slow talking like this voice rubbed people the wrong way. And as much as we know it wasn't meant to be that way, it's not inconceivable that, Hasbro kind of saw this as something that needed damage control.
Yeah. But also, there's another reason that Derpy's a big issue in this also is because it's a very interesting fan-show relationship, because she was a fan thing for the most part. Just one incident with the Miss Layer, and then she got a name from the fans and the character personality. And then the show adapted that to that episode. It's something I haven't seen a show do before, where they introduce something from the fans at all. I cannot think of a show where that's happened before.
I think I've heard of that happening once or twice, but it's always been super minor. And
it's been very rare as well.
Fan contest or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, usually it's very gimmicky. It's like a fan contest, like draw a character, and it could end up in the show as a background thing. But like actually having the character named not through a contest, but just by fan
publicity and popularity.
Saturation. Cultural saturation among the community, to the point where it actually became a canon name. And actually, it's funny you bring that up, because there's actually another point I realized a little while ago. It's another fanon name that ended up making it into canon.
Alicorn?
Alicorn.
Yeah.
Up until
that's true.
until season 3, we never actually got the word Alicorn, and even up until the finale, the only time the word was ever used was in relation to the Alicorn amulet, which didn't necessarily canonically state that the princesses were called alicorns. This was the first time in this season 3 finale that we actually get canonically from one of the characters that winged unicorns are alicorns.
Yeah.
I think people overlook that a lot. I don't think many people have mentioned that.
Yeah,
I know it's kind of in the wake of this massive change for Twilight, but it is a minor thing that was brought into the canon world.
Yeah, it's something a lot of people didn't think about, because in the show at all, they like you said, they never mentioned it, so we don't know if it wasn't brought up in the fandom, if they would have even said that at all, if that was their intention. Because is the term alicorn actually from mythology and stuff like that as well?
I think, and I'm probably wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure the name came from the original word for a unicorn's horn. The idea, a unicorn's horn is an alicorn.
Okay.
And that name just sort of got phased in there because, anything horse or, equestrian related is inevitably going to end up as, being incorporated into the show in some sort of pun.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, so that's...
Actually...
Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of the show, in fact, why don't we talk a little bit about spin-offs that could...
Before we go into spin-offs, why don't we take a quick little break, and we'll come back in just a minute and go on the subject of spin-offs.
All right, then.
Good idea.
We'll be right back, apparently, after these commercial messages.
And that is us back again, I suppose.
We're backing.
Yes.
We are
We're
back
backing.
in back.
We are back in back.
Wow, that
Lovely.
was no.
I have
There's
no idea what that meant.
So creative.
We
That was
are
brilliant.
the cleverest of all possible people. Anyway, so when we left off, I believe we were going to talk about a little bit about the spin-off shows, Littlest Pet Shop and Equestria Girls.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No.
You are completely right.
are
That is
correct.
exactly what we said we were going to do.
Give him his prize.
Right then.
Here's a puppy. And we don't know why, but the rainbow process works better when you have a box of crayons and you're holding a picture of your family.
And you have this puppy, and I...
You have this puppy.
It snuffles my cheek.
Oh, man. I couldn't.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
Sorry. Please don't super stim flam. Anyway,
don't sub to us. Please don't.
oh god. Anyway, so where were we? Right. One of the interesting things about season 3 was that it was a half episode, and it was a half episode.
It was a half episode.
It was very.
Yeah, I thought it was shorter than usual.
Whole season was 15 minutes long, but I'm sorry. No, it was a half season, and there's been some speculation that the reason for that was the fact that at the same time as season 3, Hasbro and the Hub were releasing Littlest Pet Shop with most of the same voice and writing talent that worked on MLP.
Yeah. But it wasn't made
and
with
that-
the same animators. It wasn't made in Studio B, so it was a cheaper production, actually.
Yes, significantly. But the fact that they made a full season of Littlest Pet Shop may have cut the length of MLP season 3 in order to allow them to do that, in order to work on that. And that might have been an indication that Hasbro was looking to try and essentially capture lightning in a bottle by... Yes, but trying to get lightning in a bottle by recreating the success of MLP, but with a much cheaper show.
Yes.
Clearly, as Littlest Pet Shop does not have a gigantic fan community on the same level as MLP, it didn't work. But with the announcement of Equestria Girls, it and the fact that MLP Season 3 did seem to have a finale that implied that they were at least leaving the option of ending the series with this.
Yeah.
Is anyone else getting the feeling that we, may be seeing, Hasbro trying to kind of set things up to allow,
Yeah.
MLP?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But either way, when someone says that everything is fine, it's not fine.
You're still going back to that.
I'm going back to that.
I would say actually, sorry, but I would say that the Littlest Pet Shop thing, if you actually look at it, this could be me being a crazy conspiracy theorist, but the dog looks exactly like Twilight. He's got the same colours, he's got the same highlights in the hair. The monkey is pink, like Pinkie Pie, and acts with the exact same personality. And it does kind of seem like they were trying to recreate MLP exactly in a cheaper show.
Well, that's just crazy. I mean, it's not like they got Tara Strong and Andrea Libman to play the exact same
No,
characters.
they didn't actually, because
No, of
Ashley
course
Ball
not,
plays
of
the
course
monkey
not.
in that.
Yeah, that's true.
Again,
Okay, that one is true.
that one's true, but they did get Tara Strong to play the dog, I believe.
Oh, my.
They really... it is slightly suspicious,
Yeah.
not going to lie.
Yeah, it's a bit suspect, just a bit.
But what about the show itself? What do you guys think of the show itself? I mean, because I think we took time to watch an episode or two, right?
Yes, we all took the time to watch the episode, and I did not completely forget about it until just now.
Yes,
All right.
that's exactly what we all did, Shifty Eyes.
Shifty
Um,
eyes.
No, I did actually watch the episode with a few other people, and from what I saw, I can see what they've tried to do. The animation you can see is clearly done by a cheaper studio.
Yeah.
That it's a strange thing, because it's not as memorable as MLP. I know I only watched one episode, but I've already kind of forgotten what happened in it. I know they were trying to save a pet shop.
Yeah, that's the basic idea behind the whole story. She's trying to save a pet shop, and it's a one-shot series in a sense, because it's only one season, that's how long it would last, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got humour in it, but it all seems very sort of... It doesn't have the same sort of character depth, I don't think. Like, the songs, like, there was a song at the beginning which introduces the characters, and it was very sort of, like, pop song type. And I actually... Yeah, you know the sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there was actually a clip of a song later on in the series, I think it is, that I saw, which was about someone having a crush. And it was very sort of... Whereas some of the MLP songs are more meaningful, that song in particular was very sort of... I know MLP gets songs like this as well, but that was very sort of meaningless to me.
Meaningless.
Obviously, I haven't seen it myself, but it sounds like what you're describing kind of sounds a little bit like it's designed by Boardroom Committee. Kind of more them sort of like the executives basically saying, okay, here's what people like and here's what will sell. So here is our, show that has these elements, and here is our song that has the market tested, correct lyrics and beat to sell to
It does sound like
kids
that.
in this demographic. Obviously, I haven't heard it myself, so I'm just kind of saying what it sounds like from what you're describing. But am I completely off? Or
no, that sounds a bit about right.
Yeah. But also going on spin-off shows themselves and shows that try to relate to them like that. Because like I said, they try to get all the talent in the writing, because that's a lot what MLP is based on. The talent and the writing and the voice acting, but also the animation is another huge issue in the music, too, because I don't think they have the same musician for a little special.
No, they did have Daniel Ingram.
Oh, they did have
I don't know they had the... I don't know they had the person who does all the background music, but I know that they did have... Daniel Ingram.
But yeah, it's like you're saying.
I would actually say
they're trying to do that in a sense, but it's not just a matter of if it's good or not. And we're not saying it's terrible, because I'm like, I don't prefer to watch it personally. It's not terrible. I just don't prefer to watch it. It's not something that draws me like Ponies did. And it's another thing also where it seems like they're trying to recreate that atmosphere that Ponies had, and just sell that again. But the thing is, it's already been sold, and people have already bought onto the Ponies.
And it is actually kind of interesting, because at once I have to kind of say, well, to be fair, we're not part of the target demographic. Yeah. On the other hand, we weren't part of the target demographic for MLP either. It managed to hit a chord where it, actually resonated with a lot of people outside the target demographic. And if they were trying to, hit that same chord with Pet Shop, even if it worked with kids, it clearly didn't hit the same chord with the, wider, mature demographic that they accidentally, grabbed hold of. And I really can't help but think that they wanted to hit that same one, because the thing is, as much as, they brought on the same writers and stuff, and as much as that probably was at least partly based on the fact that this show worked, that MLP worked well for everyone, you do get the feeling that they were announcing that that this show was going to have the same writers and same musicians, because they knew that the people on the internet, the older fans, were going to pick up on that and going to get excited about that. I can't imagine that none of the executives at Hasbro looked at all the money they rake in from adults with adult budgets buying huge volumes of merchandise based on MLP, and then went, you know what? Let's make another show that has all these elements that makes it similar to MLP. Let's announce it online where all sorts of people, where all these people are gathering. But I don't think we actually need them. We don't need to worry about them knowing. It hasn't even really gone into my conscience. It's just totally coincidental that these people managed to figure out about it. That seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Hasbro is not bad at their job. They know how to market, and this is marketing.
I would actually say, if I take up some of these points, if we think about it, compare the two shows for a second. You've got both of these shows are designed for young kids. They both have the same writers, the same voice acting talents. One of them picked up a giant fan base, and one of them didn't.
Yeah.
One of them did have Lauren Faust working for them, and one of them didn't. I'm not saying that because Lauren Faust was working for MLP and she did some other well-renowned things, that's the only reason. But I'm saying that I think what they tried to do there, I mean, you can see it in some of the animation. They've taken, like, ponies, big eyes, large heads,
anime style.
It's quite small and cute. Yeah, it's anime style. It looks like they've tried to recreate the same thing there, and it just doesn't work for some reason.
It's also the art direction as well. It doesn't flow with the style that MLP has, but it's also just the art direction with the style that you were just saying, where they have the big eyes and adorableness. It doesn't fit the art style they have, I don't think, or the art direction.
Yeah. I can probably agree with that, yeah.
I'd call that more sort of old school, Disney and pre-Disney animation more than anime style.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I was actually going to bring up Disney a bit because it's very hard to create. Like, MLP is a family entertainment cartoon. The whole purpose of it is to entertain the family, adult and children alike. And that's what Disney does. It's very hard to actually create that because everyone wants to go to one or the other. It's hard to have a mix of both that will cohesively work very well.
Yeah, no,
but Disney has done that very well, of course. We all know Disney. Everyone knows Disney.
Yeah, I think the two other examples of shows that, the two other examples of shows that were clearly designed for one demographic that ended up, but had a family theme and ended up working really well for people of all ages are Disney and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
New Who feels a little bit less like that, but, Classic Who was all about being family-friendly entertainment.
Yeah. But, I mean, even look at New Doctor Who, it's still family-friendly. There's actually no swearing and there's no blood in the whole thing. And
it's still very family-friendly.
The only thing with it is just a bit dark and complex for children. That's where the adults come in. But it's witty and funny, and the children love that. And you have all these cool effects and explosions. That's where you really draw on the children with the Doctor Who series. Because it's a bit different with Doctor Who. Because Doctor Who's more trained a bit more to the adults in the family, but kids will still watch it because they love all the looks of it. Disney, it draws the kids, which draws the parents, and the parents like it because it's well written, amazingly well animated most often with Disney. And it's.
I wonder what this is reminding me of.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it's.
You see.
Would you just? No, I don't. Go away.
So,
Thanks for just interrupting me. Anyway.
All I was going to go was that. Since we're on the subject of shows designed to kind of capture our audience and move it somewhere else, Equestria Girls. Thoughts?
Oi.
Good answer.
Perfect first thought.
Honestly,
you gotta be quiet, Duhad.
Sorry. Sorry. What I was gonna say was, in terms of Equestria Girls, God, I don't even want to say that word. Admittedly, I have the same reaction with MLP, but Equestria Girls, the look of it, and admittedly, I'm just going off of what I've seen from the magazine that got leaked. But if that's the actual design they're going with, off-colored, freakishly off-color humans with really stiff-looking, body design.
It does look very stiff. I did notice that as well, compared to ponies especially. It's stiff.
It looks like someone tie-dyed Bratz dolls.
That's what I was thinking.
and made it horse themed. And no.
Yeah, I will say actually, if I send a picture to you both of the thing,
and then we also have the fans, of course, you guys can see it.
And of the for the benefit of everyone watching, I will put this up on the screen. If you look at it, Rainbow Dash, as I said last time, looks dead because nobody should ever be that blue unless their heart has stopped beating.
Exactly.
Yes.
Rarity
looks like a vampire.
Yeah, Verity is either a vampire or Irish because they're particularly
Fluttershy
pale.
from The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah, Fluttershy from The Simpsons.
Applejack's the only normal-looking one, which I still find funny because Applejack is the normal one.
Yeah.
Actually, I would have said she looks like she's been in some sort of tanning booth too long,
too
or
many
using
carrots.
fake tan.
Oh god, she's from the Jersey Shore. No,
she's from Jersey Shore. Oh god.
Yeah, my Irish friend is going to kill me for that little comment of yours, though.
Twilight looks like she's from the
whole,
whatever that stalking show was. Whatever was it?
I don't know that one. I will say actually, Pinkie Pie has wide, soulless, staring eyes. And all of their boots are very strange. I don't like the way they ride up halfway up the leg. And the design looks very strange.
Their knees are very high.
Like I was saying, can you imagine if this was like G3.5 and the animation was really terrible and they walked like really strange?
Honestly, I cannot imagine, and admittedly I'm being slightly unfair here, but I really cannot look at these models and think that they're going to move naturally. The art design on them just makes it look like they're going to end up being very stiff because all the joints are in such extended places that they're inherently either going to have to be incredibly noodly or they're, as in Adventure Time, or they're going to have to be just very stiff. And, they look a little too angular to have the Adventure Time noodle look.
Now then, if we remove the characters with some rotoscoping, the background itself, actually, I do love the look of the scenery, personally.
Yeah. Horses everywhere.
Now, admittedly, to be fair here, Cabral actually makes a kind of interesting point. Take away the character models and assume that this is just a really fast, slapdash put together, lineup so that they can have something to go along with their, write up. Imagine they actually replace all these models with really good, high quality models, and they have a really solid animation.
It'd be very interesting.
Can ponies as humans in a high school work as a show?
Yeah. Another thing is, what if they just gave them normal skin color? That could work out easily. Because the thing with the ponies also, it's not just their colors. It's their key marks, which they all have on them somewhere. But their hair is another very iconic thing with the show as well. And you can easily recognize them if it was just the hair. You could probably leave these characters with normal skin color, like Applejack almost. And
there are a number of things they can do to fix the look. But what I'm asking is, imagine, I don't care how you imagine it, but just imagine in your own head, however you need to do it, that these are actually decent models. Use fan art, use...
Ponies it is.
Well, actually, I'd like to quickly think, this show, it's possible it could work, because they're not grown up, they're the same age, but humans, not ponies. They can tackle things they can't tackle in the show. They can tackle human problems. I mean, you can tackle that in the pony world as well, because they'll have human problems converted over to pony problems. But, you can convert, or you can tackle high school life, things like that. But what I really don't want it to be, and I'm afraid it could go that way, is it's going to be one of these vacuous shows where it's just them talking about boys all the time, things like that. I want it to retain that same thing that Lauren Faust put into the actual MLP cartoon, where she talks about where she talks about girls can do whatever they want to do. They don't all have to be obsessed with fashion or boys or all want to be princesses, even though it kind of went that way at the end. But we'll ignore that.
Look at my sister. She's like that. She's not obsessed about fashion or boys, really. She likes it, and we'll talk about them, but it's not her obsession. She does love horses, her obsession. That's what she's going to college for. But anyway, she's adventurous, and she's a tough trooper because she fell off a horse the other week. Then she got whiplash from a horse the other day. And then about a week ago, almost with the whiplash.
Fell down an overpass.
And then she fell off an overpass.
Yeah.
My sister's a tough cookie.
Actually, it's kind of funny. I have more male friends who are into fashion and kind of relationshipy gossip than girlfriends who are girls who are friends who are into that sort of thing. Yeah. It's definitely nice to see that illustrated.
Yeah. And
here's my thing though about the humans. I don't think it can really work very well as humans, and there are two reasons for that.
Change.
First, well, no, actually, it's not even change. My problems are twofold. One, high school. Inherently, by making it high school, you automatically, and I'm going to actually be stealing a little bit from something Fim Flam Philosophy wrote on his website. So, before anyone calls me out on this, I freely admit that these points are not entirely my own. But one of the problems with high school as a setting is that
it's high school.
You inherently take away some of the freedom that these characters have.
Yeah.
Rarity in the show is the owner of her own store. She, is an independent fashion designer. She creates her own fashion. Applejack runs a farm. Twilight essentially has a job as a librarian, and Pinkie Pie is essentially essentially works in retail. Basically, she's a baker and she works in retail. If you set it in high school, Rarity can't be a fashionista. She can just be a girl who likes fashion, who doesn't create fashion. Pinky can't be a baker. She can just be a girl who likes eating or making food in the kitchen.
Sorry, that was just funny.
You lose the element of them as independent characters, and
And Twilight just becomes a nerd.
Not to sound like Twilight just becomes a nerd. Here's the thing: you lose them as independent female characters, and I know there's going to be all kinds of people who are going to go like, "Oh, he said, strong independent female characters. Get this feminazi out of here." But calm down, people. Seriously, think about this. Each one of these characters is an independent, self-supporting person, and they will lose that if they're in high school. High schoolers, except in extreme situations, which I seriously doubt the show is going to do because it'd be really dark, do not live as self-sufficient people.
Now, if they were in college...
If they were in college, that would be a different matter. But they're not in college, they're in high school.
Yeah.
The other thing with the humans is you end up kind of having a weird...
awkwardness.
My other thing with the humans is you kind of have a weird awkwardness of... There's a difference, and all of us in this chat here, we're not into ponies, right?
Not like that.
No.
We're not. None of us are like that. But here's the thing: even for people like us who aren't into that, there's still a degree of weirdness associated with that, even if it's just by association.
If anything, it's slightly worse in a way. What is high school age in America? Because I'm guessing this can be based off Americans.
It really depends. I mean, I started high school at 13.
Yeah,
exactly. What's worse? Because ponies age completely differently. So at least in that respect, it's detached. If they're all 13-year-old girls, that's a bit.
Now, if they were 16-year-old girls, or 18 even, because there are some 18-year-old high school girls, but they would be seniors.
It's still sort of on the weird side of things. Like the thing is, there's a difference between saying I like a show that has a large cast of female characters, a large cast of female characters, and saying I like to watch a show about high school girls.
Yeah.
But that's creepy.
But also,
that's really creepy.
It's not just that they're changing as well. You're changing the whole universe they're in. Another reason that people like My Little Pony so much is the fantasy universe it is in. There is so much there. And all of which is based off of Lauren Faust's imagination when she was a child playing with the toys, which is why it also attracts so many people. I mean, I played with toys with my sister as well, and we've had such extensive imaginations and stories unfold from playing with toys. And you're taking away that whole universe of fantasy and bringing it into the realm of reality, which it could still be a bit fantasized as well, because I'm assuming there's going to be some fantasy involved with this. But overall, you're bringing them into reality more of, and you take away a lot of those fantasy elements. There's no more big adventures, going through caves and dungeons, looking for treasure. There's no fighting off dragons and manticores. You're losing a lot of the elements that make this as well.
I think most we're going to get Rainbow Dash having to balance hanging out with her friends and playing lacrosse or soccer or something like that.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, how is she? Because she is not. I don't know whether she's captain or not, but she's a member of the Weather Patrol. She can't do that, and that's how it doesn't translate over properly. Because, like you were saying, this is slightly going off what I was saying about Rainbow Dash, but the whole world was a fantasy world. It was successful because it was a place where you could escape to, and the reason
stealing my terms.
I said that yesterday. You stole it off me first, and then I stole it back.
Fine.
No, okay. But yeah, I think the reason Littlest Pet Shop and this won't work is because it's too ordinary. It's too monotonous grey buildings. It's a high school. It's very real lifey. Yeah. Whereas MLP, the universe Equestria was this. It had castles on hills. It had mythical creatures. It had ponies that could talk and fly and use magic, and it was different, and this is too much like real life, and as we all know, real life is a horrible thing, so...
Real life is a terrible place with unintuitive controls.
Yeah.
Why do you think we have imagination?
And another thing just about that, high school! So many shows and movies! High school, my goodness!
Oh, yes, definitely.
My God, I cannot stand high school. Honestly, I didn't even have that bad of a high school experience.
I had a great high school experience, firstly, but still...
It's so dull, and it's so used. It's ugh.
Exactly.
High School Musical.
Yeah, here's the thing. When I was in high school, I think the only show I watched in high school that was about high schoolers was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that show had high schoolers getting eaten by things.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know, I don't care. Yeah, even as a high schooler, I didn't care about high school. It was lame.
Yeah, I enjoyed it personally. I did like going. I went to a private high school, which is much different because I assume they're going to public high school. Which I have to question: what do other people look like in this story? Also,
oh, God, you're right.
but anyways, going off of that, still, when there were shows about school, Nestle classified School Survival Guide. That was middle school and a bit of grade school, 6th grade, I think they were in, but it was middle school, and that's where a lot of shows actually. Like school shows like that, middle school seems to be a good place actually for quite a few of them. I think Malcolm Middle was another high school one I actually watched, but once again, that wasn't following all of high school. That was following just at home as well and in life situations. This one looks like it might be entirely based around going to school and at school sort of situation. Which I really don't like shows where they just stay in one location. I think there was one high school show that was on Saved by the Bell. If anyone remembers that.
Vaguely.
I do remember it, but I never watched it.
It was alright, but still, just having it be one set location and you're in an enclosed universe with so many limitations, it's not something that, could... But this is just coming from us fantasy people. There are people who enjoy stories like that. I will read a couple stories where it's like that, but...
There is a market for drama stories.
Yeah. And also, I'm not saying that it's going to be bad, because we don't know at all, but I'm just saying also you're taking the limitless and making it limited now, because the universe they were in was so limitless, different possibilities and everything. Now, you're bringing the characters and their personalities into a limited, confined location, basically. And you're changing that so much. It's very awkward.
That can be done well.
It can be. I'm not saying that this will turn out bad, but it's very awkward, is what it is.
I was just going to say, there's a season, or like 3 seasons of Doctor Who, way back in the, like old Who, not Baker, but the guy before Baker, the third Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Where most of his run actually took place just in one location on a base in Earth because of budget limitations, and they made that work.
Yeah,
it can be done. They went from all the universe to one military base, but it can be made to work. It's just not easy.
Yeah, and that is a good example, actually, because Doctor Who is a limitless universe, essentially, and they had it in that limited thing. But also, back then, they were limited to what they could do with film.
Yes.
But anyways, like I was saying, it's not just that. I don't think it'll be bad. I don't know, and I can't say if it will be. I'm just saying it's awkward to bring characters in a limitless universe into a limited one. It's an awkward transition that we'll be going through for watching this.
Could I actually make a point?
Yes.
The whole, personally, I distance my school and college life from my home life. Like, when I get home from college, I don't want to see more college. And this show, you have to be relatable, like relatability to your audience, but there's a difference between MLP, the normal show, where it's relatable, like, oh yeah, I used to have this amazing imagination as well, I still do, and I can imagine that, I remember this mythical place that I made up when I was a child. And then there's the relatable of this, which is, oh yeah, I go to high school and I hate it, and you're reminding me of that fact by making a show about it. So and I feel like also, storyline-wise, sorry, just last thing, how are they going to do it? Because it can't be anything like the actual one, because it was all based around magic. She grows wings. She's not going to do that in this. She can't. It doesn't work.
Unless it's going to be like anthropology or something.
Well, apparently, and this is from what I read from the article in the magazine. I don't know whether or not this is actually really accurate. Apparently,
isn't this still mostly rumors though? This whole high school
kind of, yeah. This isn't, nothing is confirmed yet. But apparently, what the idea is that essentially Celestia sends the main characters from MLP at some point in the timeline to Earth or to an alternate Earth reality, whatever. I mean, they look like freaking mutants, so I'm guessing it's not necessarily Earth.
Yeah.
But basically, it's Celestia sends the ponies to Earth. So yes, it's anthropology. If you've read that fanfiction, it is the actual characters from the show as actual humans in a close facsimile to our Earth.
Huh. It'd be very interesting to see that. I'm still curious about this, because sending them to Earth with their memories intact, such like that, and the transition will be awkward for them as well. So that'll make it a bit relatable.
I just don't think that would work very well because, like, it's if they keep it completely separate canon-wise and they just say at some point that it's still the very idea of the fact they went down there, and it's like the whole point was that it was a separate world and it was like a place that was this, mythical, amazing place that no one would ever, like, the worlds would never meet. And by bridging that gap, it turns into like G1 or G2, where the humans used to come to the pony world and things like that. And it's just, I don't think it works very well. It didn't work for me back then. Not that I watched that many episodes, but
well, you weren't alive back then.
Actually,
what?
I
mean, when I watched back from now,
this is actually making me think. This is to frame your point. Basically, it's essentially like saying we take Lord of the Rings and we get to the end of the books, and Frodo and Bilbo and all the Gandalf and all these people, they get on the boats to go to the Grey Havens, and they go to the Grey Havens, and the Grey Havens is Manhattan Island, and then they get off and open a pizza shop. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't do that because you imagine like Gandalf gets like arrested for having a drunken brawl in like some sort of Manhattan like bar or something like that. Like, it really doesn't work. Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying?
Did that article say anything about this being a series?
Yes.
Or I'm wondering.
Actually, no, it didn't say it was necessary. It said it was a spin-off, and it might have actually tied in with that idea of doing a TV movie.
Okay. That'd be interesting. But I was thinking also, what if this wasn't season 4, but it wasn't permanent? They need to go to the Earth to get something. But I'm wondering why Celestia was sent to Earth in the first place. But what if it's something like a temporary thing? They go there.
Well, I think the idea is this is going to be, whatever it is going to be a spin-off. It's not part of the main canon.
All right.
Yeah.
At least I hope it isn't, because like if they actually canonize this, it means that inherently the main series, it's midichlorians. It is them saying, I'm sorry, I'm nerding out like crazy, but it is them saying, here is this wonderful magical thing. No, really, haha, just kidding. This exists. No matter what we do from now on, this will exist.
That's the thing. I think the trouble is that, like, I mean, if we take this into a real-world scenario, if Equestria existed and it was this place and it didn't, like, come into contact with us, it wouldn't, like, they can't possibly portray Earth in, like, realistically for these characters, because if they came to Earth, they wouldn't just sit in the high school and do that. They'd want to discover the whole world, and they want to see all of the good things, and then they'd find all of the bad things.
Like anthropology
it needs to be did. Like anthropology did. So, I just don't think it'll work, and I think that, like I said, bridging the gap between these two places it ruins the whole, like, magic of this show for people. Because the whole point is it's separate.
In the link in the description at this point, we've referenced it too many times.
Yeah.
Go on though.
No, that was all I was like wrapping up to say.
Yeah,
was that I feel like it'll ruin like the whole bubble that this world is in if you break it to get out to a different world. And our world is pretty crap. Let's be honest. Sorry,
There's
but
some great
it
things
is
in this world too.
It's okay. I like this world. I am a
It's
humanist.
beautiful and disgusting at the same time. It's the only one of its kind.
I like it for the most part, but I mean, it's not somewhere where I think that after living in a world like this, hypothetically speaking, if these people were real, if they lived in a world like that, and then they came over here, they want to go back pretty sharpish, I think.
Huh. It also depends on what kind of high school they go to, private, public, Catholic.
It doesn't even matter if it is, if it wasn't like paradise. Like, even if you actually took the argument like, oh, well, our world doesn't have giant monsters eating them, and then we have electricity and technology. Even if it was all the best stuff in the world, like even if like they were coming from an
Danny Phantom High School,
nasty, brutal world, and this one was essentially a paradise by comparison, you inherently have sort of polluted the idea of the show by changing the universe to incorporate something that it was never meant to have. And from that point on, there was no way of going back on that. This is no longer a separate world. This is now just part of world connected to ours with everything good and bad that comes with that.
Yeah,
it's no longer real.
I can agree with that. In fact, actually, I was going to say, on a kind of slightly strange subject, I feel a bit like if this was like a real life scenario, they're like kind of experiencing life better than we are because they've been ponies and then they get to shapeshift into humans. So they basically like, there's nothing for us to explain to them about our physiology or anything because they've just become humans.
Yeah.
I know that's not like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if in a real world scenario, like they've just become us and it's a bit weird because they just shapeshifted like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no magic in this world, so how is it preserved when you like bring it over?
Yeah.
Anthropology.
That's anthropology. Yeah.
It's a mystery.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Actually, you are right on that. Honestly, they can do. There even is kind of an interesting story that could be told. Anthropology, I guess, if you like anthropology. There's an interesting story that can be told about a pony's coming to our world and having to experience it through new eyes and stuff. But the thing is, if you're going to do that, it's not going to be MLP
No.
at all. In fact, it's probably going to end up pretty darn dark. I mean, because you're either going to go like, wow, this world is awesome, I don't want to leave, and let's indulge ourselves on all this world has to offer, or it's this world is horrifying and dark and nasty and brutish, and let's get the heck out of here.
No.
Oh god, I just thought, what happens if they do some sort of weird, I don't know why I thought Twilight, it's not the same thing, but what if they're all like going around and they find like the perfect like match up for them in the human world, and they all fall in love in the human world?
Oh god, please don't.
Can you imagine how that would work out?
Oh god, that.
And then what if Celestia brings back the wrong people and turns them into ponies?
Son of a. God, yeah.
We've got him speaking in tongues. Yeah.
And well, not
No, but
it's
it's true though. It's like you think that would be one of those things where I'm looking at the characters now and I can see that happening in my mind. It'll be tackling relationships is what the subject that they'll be, and they'll all get involved and it'll just be
the whole thing
terrible.
also is probably going to be a lot of fitting in. I mean, look at 1, how they're dressed. 2, look at their skin. 3, look at their hair.
I know, but if they all look like that, it probably won't be too different.
Yeah.
Like everyone else will probably look like that as well.
No, I don't think so. I think the humans would look normal.
Maybe, but
What
then
if their
that
skin
would
is actually just their fur?
That would be very weird. But I think they totally had. That's not the point. The point is, can you imagine that though? Like, just for a second, if we think about it,
Duhad is
that
throwing
would
up
be
right now.
like.
There is blood running out of my nose.
Oh god!
Go ahead.
My
You're
eyes.
done.
No, but it's true though. It's like that would never like. It would be the point at which, if you were watching the series before, you'd stop, because I don't know what it is about it for me, but I just think that the worst possible thing is to introduce relationships where they're ponies, they've been brought to this other world, and they've met humans, and they all fall in love with them. It's so beautiful, because it wouldn't work on many levels. One being the fact that they were ponies before. They shouldn't suddenly be attracted to humans just because they are humans.
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, they should be going out into fields and saying hi to the actual ponies. Because that'd be a much bigger
Well,
thing to
hello
them.
there, good-looking stallion.
Oh god, that
I like that grass you're eating.
technically actually would count as. Oh god, I can't believe I'm going to bring this up, but that would count as bestiality because
It's a mystery. Bestiality.
Bestiality.
not with the humans, but with like the horses, actual horses, because you're actually then dealing with a creature that is not capable of sapient thought.
Yeah.
And so is technically not non-consensual due to and a different species. That's bestiality.
Yeah.
So you're
Well,
either
that's what I'm saying. Like,
creepy, weird, ness involving humans, or creepy weirdness involving technical bestiality.
in fact, you can't go either way because they were ponies before. Yes, they're humans now, but technically speaking, at one point in time, they were ponies. So either they're going to be attracted to humans and it's going to be a sort of like by proxy, it's bestiality, or they're going to not like necessarily be in a relationship with ponies in that world, but they're going to try and talk to someone who's familiar to them. So they're all going to be standing out in the fields wearing that, whatever they're wearing at the moment, all trying to talk to a horse, and it's not going to happen.
You're trying to talk to a horse.
Oh god.
Like it just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah,
on
and
many
sadly
levels.
also with this, the only thing we have to base anything off of is anthropology. Is one of the only stories we can actually base stuff like this off of. I find that funny.
Yeah, I have a feeling that anthropology will actually have a better storyline to it than this.
Anthropology
That's
had a good
just me
storyline. I
speculating.
read it 5 hours, so I skimmed a little bit, but I read those
I
153,000 words and liked it.
I didn't read. Well, I read anthropology, but I actually kind of got bored about.
Yeah, that's right. Right when I'm like, oh, but you missed all the good stuff, like the chapter before.
Yeah, apparently I got so far into the book, the fan fiction. It was just like, this is so boring. Nothing is happening. She wants to join a band, and there's no conflict, and the girl she's living with is basically a Mary Sue. You know what? I'm done. There are more interesting stories I could read. Then I talked to Carl, months later, and it's like, oh yeah, you just like the next chapter Discord shows up, and the whole thing goes crazy.
Yeah, you missed that bit.
Sorry.
I will actually say, on the subject of, like, if Celestia sends them to Earth, for the benefit of everyone, I'm sending you this. For the benefit of the court, I'll send you this image. Why is she there, Trixie, in a human form?
Oh yeah, you're right. Trixie is in the
crap muffins. Does Trixie end up in the human universe? They have to go after her, get her out before she screws things up in the human world, even though they're already screwed up?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm actually not entirely sure if this is actually an official picture or.
I wasn't sure. I was saying,
Does
like,
anyone else
it is
notice that
entirely
it's cut
possible
off
someone made
just
this.
ever so slightly next to her hat? There's some stuff cut off.
Yeah, the poor resolution makes me think it might just be fan. On the other hand, that little cutoff thing actually seems to really imply that it is.
No, but actually, no. I'm sure there's better quality somewhere. This isn't from Equestria Daily one, so it looks like.
That's what I'm thinking. If it's bad quality, surely fan art would be original quality, full up and everything. So I don't know why it
This
wouldn't.
is just taken from somewhere, and they just poorly transcoded the resolution.
Oh yes. I'm actually kind of wondering. I don't think. All right, if this is from the hub, I don't think. I think the both the pictures of Trixie next to the character and the picture with the hat and cape are fan made.
Yeah.
Because that looks like they basically went like, here's a picture, know who this is? How about with the hat and cape? How about now that we?
No, but also actually, if you're looking at it, there is another error too. Look at the dress on the left and on the right. Where her neck is with the cape, there is no shirt underneath there, whereas on the one on the left there is. So
in that case, it's a completely different design.
Exactly,
it's not like the same picture modified.
But the hat and cape one looks so awful.
Yeah, I would actually say, like, if this is real, I personally think they would try and distance it from the show and not put the character as a pony on the side. I don't think that makes me think that it isn't real, but it could be or it couldn't be. I don't know, because they don't show it. In the little video that's linked with this that shows the article, it doesn't show... Well, I don't know where they got these pictures from, actually. It's a good point.
I don't know. Considering it's Trixie, honestly, I'm kind of angling towards...
This, though, has a huge word in this.
Yeah, the thing is, like, there is a... Trixie is not a popular enough character that I think she'd be, like, a major, here's what we're doing with this show thing for Hasbro to do. But it is the type of thing where it's a, like, next to, like, Derpy, it's probably, like, the first thing a fan would... you could find fans who'd be willing to throw together in order to go along with the original release stuff.
Yeah, but...
No, I can see that.
Overall, after our long discussion about this whole Equestria Girls thing, all we're saying, it's awkward, it'll be weird, we don't really care for the idea too much, and we have no idea what it'll be like at all. And
clearly, I'm sure Hasbro is listening to this right now and going, wow, you know what? We were really pulling for this idea, but then Cabral, Lightning, and Duha, they set us right.
Yeah, those guys. Let's give them some money.
bring them on the show.
Bring them on the show for
They can all have cameos.
Well, until our eventual cameos in Equestria Girls version 2.0, the super amazing badass edition, I have been, I think we've had a great little discussion here. We talked about season 3. Yes, I think we've run
If you've
way
lasted
over
this long, what is wrong with you?
So we've managed to talk about season 3, Equestria Girls, Littlest Pet Shop, and next week we'll talk about something else.
We have no idea what yet.
Who knows? The world is our oyster, metaphorically.
Lightning, what have you learned today?
Well, dear Princess Duhat, I have learned that while some things on the face of it may seem like a good idea to CEOs of big companies, like Equestria Girls and the Hasbro Corporation, when delved into a little bit deeper, it's found out that it's actually not such a good idea.
That's
a good point.
It's just very awkward.
Cabral, what have you learned today?
Dear Princess Writer's Block. Wait a second, wrong princess. Dear Princess Duhad. Today I've learned that you breathe into your microphone.
What?
No, you just have little puffs of air on your microphone, so you have
it was just that one time.
My
second off, Princess Duhad, I have learned that should have been the PS. Anyways, second off, Princess Duhad, I have learned today that ponies makes things very awkward when changed from one reality to another.
Indeed.
Thirdly, Derpy is amazing. Fourthly, I really don't know why people are still listening on to this long in the interview. The end. P.S. Hi.
Well,
Duhad,
I guess,
what have you learned?
Yeah, final note to self. I have learned 2 things today. The first is I'm apparently a princess. Good news. I should
that's always good.
growing wings and a horn anytime now.
Okay.
The second thing I found out today was that I never, ever, ever want to start a conversation again that will lead to me talking about ponies and bestiality.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, it's the best direction for a conversation to go in, if I'm honest.
Exactly.
I suppose so. Well, from end to end, this has been Duhad.
Lightning Rabbit 010K.
And Cabral95. And we feel sorry for each and every one of you.
And
We
we'll
shall
catch
see you next time.
you next time.
Adios.
Next time.